How's it going? I'm Jared Gillis. Welcome to another All About RVs. Today I want to share with you guys a handful of tips, a few things that we do around the RV that help us head off some problems, some things that help us alleviate some disasters that could be heading our way. So the good thing is most of these things are pretty simple. So number one on the list is an easy way to make sure that you don't lose any of your sewer connections or your stinky slinky while you're driving down the road. So there's storage in bumpers of RVs often. We have these tubes on the underside of the RV to store the hose and the fittings. The fittings fit in there too, which is great. But we have the cap on the end and we can lock that into place, but it could work itself backwards. So what we do is we put on these little S hooks at the end that have a spring attachment. So it's an S lock that goes onto there. When you put it through that loop, it locks that end cap into place so that you can't lose any of that. Nobody wants to be that guy dragging the drain hose behind the RV as you're going down the road, either damaging it or losing it. And this is a very secure way to make sure that that doesn't happen to you. Okay, number two, sticking on the theme of the wastewater system, this twist-on valve that we added to the end of this line has been key. It's easy because it's really easy to install. I mean, you literally take the cap off the end and you twist this valve on. I like keeping this valve on all the time because on move days, from day one that we've gotten this RV, if there was anything that was in the lines, it will work its way down to here. And there's always just a little bit of water that finds its way to that cap when you go to take it off. And I'd rather not have anything drip out when I'm getting ready to hook up all the connections. So this alleviates any of that because we can close that gate valve, and that way when we make our connection, it's all still closed. And then when we want to open it, then it allows whatever's in there, that little bit to flow out. So there's a couple of options of what you can do here. The one that we did for our friends is the one I would prefer to do. It's because they had a little bit more pipe at the end of here. I wish I would have installed it this way, but we just cut off the end of his connection, and then they have one that you can glue right on there, but it still has the fittings for being able to connect your drain hose real simply. So it's already on there and connected. I like that better because if I'm twisting these fittings on there, I'm not twisting this valve in any way. Just having it more secure would be my preference. The other thing that this does is it saves you from that disaster because it gives you a visual inspection. When you go to hook up and you take that cap off, you know that nothing is going to come out when this valve is closed. So if any of the other valves that you can't see at this moment are open, it doesn't matter because this valve is closed. So we can make all of our connections, we can open that valve, and we're not gonna have any of those mistakes by having something else open accidentally. But having this closed just gives you that cheap insurance, and a very visual thing to be able to connect to before you take that cap off is very simple. Now, this next one is one that we've dealt with a few times, and it has to do with the emergency exit window. They're really easy to use and operate, and they open up nice and wide so you can use it as an emergency exit. So you just pull this out and it opens up nice and wide. The problem is this is a little bit easy to do. So we've had it before where this on a drive becomes loose, opens up, and this actually ends up going all the way through this hole. But that just means that this window, when you're driving down the road, is then flapping up against the side of the RV. Sometimes that could break, the impact of it just from it banging from the wind. So this is something that you want to be careful of because you don't want to create an emergency exit that you can't get out of. You don't want to create additional steps to where you wouldn't be able to use it as an emergency exit. So that's why I use just this tiny piece of Velcro. I just use it just so that it doesn't separate from this base here. I'm not wrapping it around it a bunch of times. It's just something that's real simple to just undo, open the window, and you're out. So keeps it secure while we're driving. You can even remove this once you're done driving for the day. So that way it's not inhibiting the exit. But having this little piece of Velcro keeps those windows from opening, especially on the back where we can't see it. We had that happen once before. Somebody was honking. We were able to pull over, get that window secured. But this allows us to head that off before it becomes a problem and keep that window secure as we drive. Now this next one might seem a little bit overkill, and it's having extra fire extinguishers. So this is one that we picked up that we added as an extra one inside of the RV. We had a friend that had a fire inside of the RV. He was a firefighter and he had multiple of these around the RV. He's ready for whatever comes his way. But having multiples of these, he was able to put out a fire that started from charging RC batteries for his son, and those exploded, started to catch the RV on fire. He was able to grab one of these, put that fire out very quickly. So he said he used about a third of it. So this is one that similar size to what he purchased and put in the RV. This is the one that usually comes in RVs. It's probably would have been enough. It's about a third of the size, or about half the size of what this is. So it would have done the job, but it would have been right at the edge of getting the job done. So having multiple of these is also, I think, very beneficial, because you read enough reviews of just about any of the brands that are out there, and you're going to find some that did not deploy when they went to go use it. So what I plan to do is he recommended get First Alert and the kitty one. That way, if I buy them at different times, different locations, it's probably not going to be the same batch. So if there was a bad batch, I'm probably not going to get a bad one. I just want to make sure that I have one on hand that I can count on and use. And if one of them didn't go off for whatever reason, I wasn't able to use it, I have a backup to be able to grab it and use it and put out the fire if I needed to. So these give me a lot of peace of mind. So if something were to go wrong, it cancels out the devastation that could be, because the quicker you can get to it and use something like a fire extinguisher is just peace of mind. So those are the tips that I had for you guys today. I hope some of those help you guys out. I hope that it helps you alleviate problems with your RV or using your RV, and helps you enjoy the RVing experience even more. So I think that's gonna do it for today. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you wanna see more videos about RVing, hit that subscribe button. And if we don't see you on the road, hopefully we will see you next video.